Welcome to Toni TV. Inspiring people across the planet to be a little kinder and a little more gentle with each other. Delivering inspirational TV, one story at a time, from my lounge to yours. I'm your host, Toni Lontis. Good evening, everyone, and hello across the world. Welcome back to the Everyday Business Show. I'm your host, Toni Lontis. Now, as we know, we are all completely reliant on technology, and when it works, it's fantastic. But there are times when it just doesn't do as it's supposed to. And that's the issue with our delightful guest this morning, who I'll introduce you to in one moment. Now, just a reminder, if you're listening live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, please don't forget to send us your comments, ask your questions. The delightful Payo is listening live online to respond and send you any of the links to any of the things that we talk about today. And a reminder too that if you miss the live show, you can catch up on Binge Networks TV, Hero Go TV USA, and the Toni TV channel app available on all Roku, Samsung, and LG smart TVs across the planet. A little thing that we've started in 2022 is to acknowledge our beautiful Indigenous population here in Australia and signify the importance to their contributions to the development of this country's cultural identity. And I respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, the traditional owners of the land on which we broadcast, and pay my respect to the elders past and present and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening here today and who might be listening in the future. I have a gorgeous guest today. My beautiful friend, Mr. Mario Becks, has agreed to come on the show today, and he's most distressed that his camera is not showing up, and that's okay. But before I introduce Mario, here's what you need to know. He is a natural leader, a speaker, a results-driven, published book author, relationship builder, and facilitator with experience in investigative techniques, interviewing, interrogation methods, corporate human and competitive business intelligence. Over the past 30 years, Mario has conducted various types of investigations in government sectors, departments of defence, departments of foreign affairs, corporate and the insurance sector across Australia and globally. He has applied his knowledge, expertise, and academic research and training to investigate intelligence and investigative situations within those sectors. He is the CEO of Insight Intelligence Group, which he is the architect and designer of solutions in corporate investigations, human intelligence, and surveillance techniques in government and the corporate sector. He's also the host of Business Insights on a live 90.5 FM. Now, Mario, I know you've been trying for ages to get your camera to come back up, and I know that you tested all of your equipment rigorously before coming on the show today. So please, audience, be extra specially kind to Mario today, because when technology doesn't work, it's incredibly frustrating and somewhat off-putting, and I really want you to listen to what Mario has to say today because it's important. Welcome to the show, Mario.
Toni, thank you very much. I'd like to say firstly, thank you for inviting me on your show. I was really excited when you told me I could be your guest. That's the number one. Secondly, I want to apologize to all your audience and everybody in Australia, across the globe. I tested my camera since this morning, 9 a.m. and I was so eagerly waiting, behind my desk to turn this everything. And I don't know really what's happened. And I truly apologize for everybody. And, hopefully that this interview is going to be interested enough for everybody, and they're going to forgive me for my incompetence how to connect camera, because it's truly something is there I don't understand. So Yes.
Mario, do you know what? I used to just be panic stricken when I had tech issues and thought that the world would cave in when
Yeah.
things didn't quite go to plan. So I know that feeling, but what I want to say is it actually gives the audience a wonderful opportunity to focus on your glorious voice. And
Oh,
on
thank
that
you.
note, I want to talk about your life from the beginning and what you've been through and how you got into Australia, your childhood, what it was like living with communism and war, your military training, and of course your business today. So let's start at the beginning, Mario.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much for this question. Today, when I look at my life, I'm 49 years old, and look at my life now, back from the day I was born in a society which was given to me by birth, which is communism. And when you don't know nothing
Mm,
better, you accept things as they are. Growing up in communism is it's truly challenging, Tony, for several reasons. One, I was born in poverty. My parents are they were simple factory workers. They were not nothing
yes.
fancy, and the expectations from me was just finish primary school and be the garbage collector. That was the expectations from me. Yeah, because after all, I wasn't the brightest tool in the shed, as Australian says. I really enjoyed fighting on the street, and I become the I become the petty criminal, I will say. I was hanging with the bad boys,
Yeah.
and the reason why I did this because I was all continuously being bullied because I was fat, and you have no money. The summer comes, my mom doesn't buy the sneakers because it's a good thing to walk barefoot for your soles. So I was always been ridiculed, and I always wanted to have the more. And growing up in communism, it's a challenge from that perspective because you've grown up in poverty. And then as a young kid, you should have your parents as a role model. But that didn't happen for me, Tony, because my parents
Yeah.
were, my mom, she was a colorful character. She was a professional liar and a thief. That's unfortunately truth. My father was absorbing all that her behavior in a way that
Uh-huh.
he will explode it daily on, and take a toll on me because, I'm the burden for them. So they decided when I was 14 years old to kick me out on a Christmas Eve 1986, which was for me really something unexpected.
Oh,
Um,
Mario.
in hindsight, now I can say, like, from this point in time, reflecting when I was 14, 15 years old, I was lucky enough that my grandfather was somebody who was highly positioned in Yugoslav secret police. He was the second in charge,
Yes.
and he
Mm-hmm.
has a good reputation. So he took me over that night, and he suggested me that for me it's the best to go in military school. And I said, like, but I have such a bad grades, I can't go in military school. Then he told me, basically, I will put all my effort for you because my children fail me. And he was reflecting my mom, her
Wow.
sister, her son. So
Yeah.
he sent me in military school, and I was supposed to become officer in Yugoslav People Army. So
Mm.
as a 14 years old, you become the young communist, sorry, proletariat. Then you
Yeah.
become the communist, which was, you were so proud. You get a, small red card. It says you're a
Yes.
communist, and then in that respect, you belong to that. How would I go say this,
Mm.
Tony?
Mm.
Upper echelon society. And
Yes.
I really enjoyed being studying. Even my grades was like mediocre, but I was pulling myself to the high school. And then what happened, Tony, was on the 4th of July 1991, and I knew it that year before, exactly a year before, something's happening in Yugoslavia, and
Yeah.
Berlin Wall fell 1989, the last bastion in Romania. There was a civil war, a very short one, and they removed the Ceausescu, and all preparations in military were against anybody who stand against the communism and wants to
Mm-hmm.
be voice themselves out and be democracy.
Yes. Yes.
We're gonna crush it. And I was like, God, like, what democracy? And then one thing led to another. 91, on the 14th of July, I wake up in the morning. It was a school holidays. I have the military police, federal army on my door. They told me to
Ah.
report to army barracks, and I said, like, okay. Uh, I knew that civil war was sort of like Croatia was declaring independence, and
Yes.
you're young and naive, and as I was walking in the kitchen, I saw the message from my parents. They left me. And I was wondering, why would you leave me again? You know what I mean?
Oh.
I was 18 years old, madly in love. And, I'm walking downstairs, Tony, to report myself in Army barracks. I tried to make a long story short. I met my friends who I grew up in
Yes.
different nationality, Croatian, Serbs, and we call themselves Yugoslavs. And they told me, you need to choose the sides. And I was like, what sides? In the same time, you're seeing the people fleeing homes, packing the small cars. And the same day, I went in a war, but this time not fighting for the communism, which again society was very, very corrupt. Communism is very corrupt society. People don't understand that socialist. Yes, sorry.
I was just going to say, Mario, how bad is communism from a human perspective? I appreciate that there are many countries that embrace communism, but you've had a personal experience with it, and from your perspective, and the Western perspective is that communism is bad. How bad is it, though, from a personal experience of walking through that? Is it the ideology that causes such angst and inequality? What is it about communism that just makes it such a bad thing for humanity?
Well, as I say earlier, I was exposed to communism from the day I was born. And you
Yes.
know nothing better, because once when you're born in communism, you must understand something like a North Korea and China.
Yes.
Society doesn't have the choice, because you're born and
No,
suddenly
there
have
is
the
no
old, yeah,
choice.
no,
That's
you
all you
suddenly have
know.
the exactly. So you have all these big slogans, you know what I mean? Long live the
Propaganda.
communism, yeah, propaganda, like in kindergartens, in primary school, high school. The communism survive for the only one thing. What people don't understand, that communism, it's based on a 10 point of Marxism. And that it's basically everybody who's interested should go on the search 10 point of Marxism. And it's basically removing all rights, and it's a free labor for the state. Basically, you owe nothing, state of everything, owes you owe the state, and we give you free education but free labor. So imagine
Yeah.
Tony being like a 10 or 11, 12 years old, and
Yes.
then the communist country or state will organize something was called young I don't know how to translate this, young proletariat brigades, which basically you go for school holidays between June and September, working for free, building the bridges, building the roads,
I
clearing
see.
the forest, like everything was like in the interest of the state. And
Yeah.
you continuously living in a state of fear of attack from the external
Yes.
enemies. Communism sustained for so long for one simple reason, as I tried to explain earlier. It is
Yeah.
communist doctrine was very basic, 10 points of Marxism, and then let's go delete the past to suit our agenda today, which is going to reflect our future. Václav Havel, in his book, he elaborated this very well. So communism was very plain and simple. You are all nothing. You should be happy everything we give you, and your only way when you can voice yourself out, it was, when the public meetings was being organized. And
Yeah.
the people were brewing inside. I saw this with my parents. Like my father used to be listening radio 4:30 in the morning in a bathtub, in a bathroom, to
Yeah.
listen to Voice of America. And guess what? He was hiding themselves under the blanket. My mom, she doped him. My mom, she doped him to secret police. So, so can you imagine that system? You know what I mean? Like, and,
Wow.
yeah, so that was a very, very strange situation, Tony, because I really didn't enjoy communism, because I dream, let's go say I have the shoebox of Nike sneakers. I don't know how I come
Yes.
in possession,
Yeah.
and I've been reported in school as a anarchist, right, in primary school. And and for me it was like, what do you mean? So the communism, socialism, it's very evil. But what I learned in the classes when I was being trained by the state, it was, we have something was called counter surveillance media system, which
Mm.
basically we were always projecting to society, not how the evil society it is, let's go say Western society, but look at they have no freedoms, they have no, they live in a fear, the shooting, the bank robbers. In communism, wasn't that much criminal because the state was doing
Yeah, because they're
criminal.
scared.
Yes, yeah. And it was a heavy
And the
control.
criminals are in the state. Yes.
So, like, and I always wanted something more, Tony. Like, I really wanted more. I want to try to McDonald's. You can't even talk about McDonald's. Towards end of the 80s, when the culmination of poverty exploded, I was, very young. I was a teenager. I was all these inflations. And I used to be, I remember I used to be standing in front of the store for 24 hours. Then my father will come for next 24 hours. On third day, my mom come to buy the 1 liter of the oil and 1 liter of the coffee, 1 kilo of the coffee and the flour.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and we were told that's a great, because we have the great weapons, we can defend ourselves. And we believe in that crap. We believe in that crap. And socialism, it's very narcissist, and people believe in equality. But the power is a central power. Communism, socialism, it's a two different types of society, but either of those two are based on a terror and fear by you or nothing, and state looks after you, which I'm seeing last couple of years happening across the globe, that people are accepting that that system even in democratic society.
I was going to say there's evolving conversations across Australia that, oh my God, Australia is communist or becoming a communist state. And I'm actually curious, Mario, having lived in that environment, whether that's actually true or we're just... People in Australia have had so many freedoms. They have no idea what life is like in other civilizations under communist rule. So I'm actually really curious to know, Mario, when someone says to you, oh, Australia's becoming a communist country, how true does that ring to you?
I couldn't say that it's become a communist country. As like I can see some signs of the authoritarian regime and totalitarianism, and so some elements I can see it. For example, in communism, when government says something to be done, must be done, it was done.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but because it was that belief in certain answer. That's what I'm missing in let's go say in democratic societies. When you're born in communism, you have been told this is the best thing for you ever.
For you.
And of course you believe, because there's nothing else you can compare with. Now, if communism, I put you this simple, Tony, if communism was good, do you believe, or anybody of the listeners believe, that Eastern Bloc will not survive, and and on all these civil wars happen? Communism survived because they were rewriting the past. They were using the tools of terror, which was the domestic intelligence services.
Yes.
Informants, like when you see in the Eastern Germany, they have the 180,000 informants on 80 million citizens. So like every 100 person was being monitored by some of the friends. And of course you don't, So like in Australia, I think the people that are far away because they have nothing to compare with. I wish nobody goes through this, what we're going through there. When the one-man ideology has been actually shared with the populace, and we behaved like it was the greatest thing. And the only way how communism sustained without revolts and revolutions was being bribing people. We give you half-price food. We give you, the unions, right? Unions is the biggest mistake ever. My father was an illiterate person, and he was the president of the union because he was told, just sign here, it's going to be good for you. Yes, Tony. So
fascinating.
So the communism, it's a type of state where we all sharing the common goods, but it's not true, because Tony, in Australia you can, let's just say you can have your TV now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In communism, you can't have the media, you can't have the newspapers.
I wouldn't be able to talk to you in some countries in the world. I would not be able to talk to you as openly as we're talking now. And that's, I'm not sure that Australians understand just how much freedom we do actually
Oh,
have
absolutely.
in comparison to other countries, where
Absolutely.
just the fact of you and I having a discussion about communism would see us shut down or in trouble by the government.
Yes, that's correct. Look, when I arrived in Australia, I'm just going to skip a portion of my
Yes.
life. I come in Australia 98 in November. And the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why I come in Australia after being in the civil war from 91 to 98, which again, I expected that was going to last a couple of days. And I'm the Rambo, I'm going to be a great guy.
Mm.
It wasn't that bad. I was coming to Australia in 98 as a part of diplomatic
Cool.
uh, co- uh, part of diplomatic corps of my embassy.
Yes.
I was in security intelligence department called Directorate 7.
Mm.
And the very first day, Tony, when I landed, I remember it was the very evening, but the following day, because of jet lag and I never traveled
Yes.
such a long,
Long way.
I was wandering around and I said to myself, is these people on some drugs? They're all happy, say hello. Like you walk in the street, people say,
Yeah.
excuse me, I
Yeah.
touch you. And I'm like, God, man, in Croatia, people will kill you now if you just say hello. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work that way. And I was thinking, how these people can live so happily here, right?
Ah. Yeah.
And I realized how people in Australia, they are not fully awake to understand how lucky they are living in such a country
Agreed. Agreed.
with so many possibilities. And again, it's how I got to explain. Like you can walk here naked, like literally, nobody cares, right? And like everything is like out here in the barbecue, and it's like these people have the barbecue every few days. In
Mm.
Croatia we have the
Yeah.
1st of May, like International Workers'
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
something like during the summer. That's it, boom. There's no like let's go have the barbie and
Every
this
weekend.
every weekend and I enjoy the beach. And in
Mm.
Croatia to go on the beach, if you're not born on the coast, you need to save 12 months to go 7 days for the for the holiday.
Yeah.
But after all, Tony, it was something I really enjoyed from very first day, even today. And the people,
Mm.
they don't understand how lucky they are being born in this country, have
I
nothing to complain, nothing.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I get a little bit miffed that Australians think that they're missing out, or they think that they're
Yes,
being controlled, or they think that they don't like we have it so good. We are so incredibly lucky in Australia, and I don't think we realize it. It must have been a huge culture shock for you though, Mario,
mm.
coming to Australia as part of the
Look,
diplomatic corps.
yeah, like I was very fortunate guy. I was in primary school, high school, I was being taught Russian as a
Yes.
second language because it was like
Mm.
sort of like, that was the best thing that happened to anybody to learn the Russian language, which you can use only in Russia. Uh, but yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, like, it just doesn't make a sense. And then I was fortunate enough while I was in military, I was being sent on many different courses and
Mm.
different, uh, almost say webinars, many workshops across Croatia, across the globe.
Mm.
Being trained by the very, very smart, intelligent people in Croatia, in France, and Austria, and so other countries. And I need to learn the English. However, Tony,
English is
what it,
hard, apparently.
I think it's very easy. I think it's very
Ah,
easy.
good,
Yeah, very
good.
easy. But only thing I apologize for being now rude, but I was so happy coming into English speaking environment, and now I
Mm.
can utilize these Hollywood movies and start swearing on English, right? That was for me like that, and that was my very first language. And I remember in the embassy, we had a quite exposure to the other diplomatic missions. Then my
Mm.
liaison with federal police and other government bodies required
Mm.
English. And eventually I met somebody and I said like we can date each other.
Yes.
And I need to leave 31st of December 2003. And she said, what do you mean? Why exactly that day? And I said, look, I work in embassy. And she said, what do you work? What are you doing there? I said like, look, it's I'm just looking after the trees.
Mm.
And she's a smart woman and everything else. And in that I decided to stay in Australia. I got a kid.
Yes.
And I was very fortunate enough, Tony, but where I was having the shortcomings on my behalf, I believe that the world owes me. So leaving the diplomatic
Yes.
environment and being intelligence and all these related
Yes.
jobs for my government, my first job was being the bouncer, and then the floor cleaner, and then the
Yes.
assistant steward was called position in hotel, which is basically cleaning the kitchen all night. And I
Yeah.
cried and I said, like, why me? You know, why me? Why? Um, and
Yeah.
I did understood that this is the very first time I need to be responsible to myself, and that's the very first time I stayed without mission, because all my
Ah.
life I was having mission, and that was for me the
Yes.
biggest problem, that um, being translation between the life I did have before to translate now into civilian life. And man without mission can be lost, and then you're wandering in your head, you're thinking, is this is good, is this is bad? And what I didn't understood, that I need to go through the process of growing up and learn about society.
Yeah.
In some shape or form, when you work in government sector, you are highly protected. But now this is the very first time I was the father of the very young boy,
Yeah.
and starting my new family life, and suddenly I'm not having the badge and gun. I'm not 007. Instead of this,
Yeah.
I'm the bouncer, cleaner, and everything else.
That's a
However,
huge change, Mario.
it is. And, you want to give up, Tony. Like, everybody wants to
Yeah,
give up in
I'll
life.
bet.
And, suddenly you see you have no friends, you have nobody to share with you, your journey,
Your
because,
struggles.
yeah, because, people promise you a lot of things. When you stay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and this and that, that didn't happen.
And they don't. Yeah.
Yes. So, like, I was very disappointed in my choices with the people I was surrounding myself. That was the very first time. Because I realized that most of my life I spent pleasing others, and tried to be like them instead of being me. And I eventually accepted that I need to go in school here. So I enrolled at one university. I learned English, met some great people there on that part. And eventually, Tony, I landed a very good job in 2007 in corporate job. I was a national loss prevention manager with a very young company from England. And they increased it from the 10 stores to 170 stores, which basically for me was the biggest success. I didn't
Yeah.
care for money. I was there to learn and provide
Yes.
results to show. And then another rude awakening, GFC comes. And I mean, and again,
It was terrible for many, many people, wasn't it? Like it was just such bad impacts.
yeah, and I couldn't understand why is this happening to me. I would just start becoming happy. And my family life would start falling apart.
Oh,
Simultaneously, my son was being diagnosed
God.
with epilepsy,
Yes.
which comes, we didn't know why this is happening right now, but it was so challenging. It was so challenging,
Definitely.
Tony. And I mean, I'm talking to you like you're somebody who can teach all of us lessons about life, Tony. But the point we try to make it is true, you know what I mean? And I really admire you for what you're doing, and I have the opportunity to hear your story. So me being now in front of you telling my story, I feel very humble. So my decision was very simple.
Yeah.
Family life was falling apart.
Yes.
We look after the kid together, but then I said to
Yes.
myself, I need to start my own business.
Yeah.
I mean, like GFC, we lost the home, we
Yep.
lost everything. Yeah,
Everything's falling apart. I'm going to start my own
yeah,
business.
yeah. Like that's a great
Go,
idea.
Mario.
Let's go start the
Yeah.
business. And I didn't have no money, so I was lucky enough. One good friend of mine, even to Diane, she says to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Like, I want to start my business." She says to me, "What?" I said, "Like, I want to be investigator." Because during GFC, people, nobody will give you a job because everybody was looking for the job, and I wanted to be
Yeah.
even taxi driver or cleaner or whatever it is. Nobody wants to give you a job.
Yeah.
So what she says to me, what do you need? I said, I need $1,000 for the license, and I have no
Yeah.
laptop, right? And she says to me, okay, with $1,000 for the license. And she bought me a laptop for $700, which I was paying for 2 years. On that
Yeah.
part, I started running my business, and what I spend more time is to looking good, to smell
Yeah.
good, to have a great stationery,
Yes.
pretending I'm the, God, which I wasn't
Yes.
clearly. Talking nonsense around, going all these networkings instead of to
Mm.
elevate my business, to look for the clients.
Yeah.
And on that part, I realized that I was not hungry enough. I was enough.
Yeah.
Um, I had some leeways, let's say, I could, eat
Mm.
with this person or be with that person or do some things and look for the shelter, cry me a river story and people listen to you. So what I
Yeah.
opted instantly when I realized that I don't want to nowhere after 2 years and my debts are actually accumulating and eventually that I need to hide myself from the debt collectors, which is true, $20,000 on the credit
Oh.
cards. Look, I'm going to say honestly, I think the people should consider credit cards as a last resort. I use them
Mm.
mercilessly, and the
Yeah.
day of reckoning arrived.
Yes.
So what I did, I gone into the bathrooms. I stick at the, Sherlock Holmes hat, Tony, with my
Yeah.
number. I said, looking for PI.
Yeah.
And, I've been ridiculed and everything else. And eventually I got an opportunity with somebody to have the lunch. I accepted lunch, and you have $20 in a pocket. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, it was a six of them. And silly me, I was like, I just going to have the glass of water. I'm not hungry. They're eating all these lobsters and everything else. And yes. And the guy says to me, okay, Mario, we give you one case. So like, okay, that case is going to cover me this and this and this. And it's come
Mm.
time to pay the lunch. And that gentleman, it's even today, still my client. And I feel so embarrassed every time I see him.
Oh.
And he says to me, okay, Mario, we send you the case. We're going to test you. And I told them, if I don't perform well, feel free, go on a TV, tell Mario+bekes doesn't do well. And they say,
Yeah.
like, nobody speaks that way. I say, like, well, I speak that way. That's how much I want to prove
Yes.
myself. And
Yeah.
eventually, Bill comes, in front of us, and I say, I forgot my wallet. And that client look at me, and he sees the wallet next to me in a chair. And, I was so embarrassed because I was lying. And
Yes.
they paid lunch. And that was my very first job. And actually, he introduced me to the number of the companies.
Mm.
Most of them, they choose me to work for them. Some of them, they didn't care, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good challenge, Tony. And
Yes.
I started grinding, and then I decided, to write the books, because I need to I need to
Yes.
expose myself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and as my son says, it's easy for you to do the masters, it's easy for you to do this. Say, why is that? He say, because everybody corrects for your English. I said, Matteo, I don't know English like you do, and I need somebody to edit my stuff. I know he's a kid who
Yeah.
takes challenges me every day. And I
Yes.
started writing
Yes.
books, and print 5 copies of my first book, and I was so happy. But of course, nobody
Yeah.
noticed me. But one thing what I learned, if you embark on a journey to do your business, and I know we all
Yeah.
heard this is no option A, option B, option C. In the military, what I learned during the armed conflicts and everything else, and every time we do the planning, regardless it was on tactical level, professional, or state will do strategic thinking, but I always knew it. The plan will not work out the moment we step out of the army barracks. But if I have my timetable and a key objective to reach, and if I have nothing to fall back on, I need to push myself. And
Yes.
I started to learn a lot about business in Australia as I was growing up. And of course, there was a lot of mishaps there, a lot of
Things
you
don't
learn.
work out.
No, you learn the lessons.
Yeah.
You learn the lessons.
Yeah.
But
Lots
you
and
can't.
lots of lessons.
Yeah, and look, it's easy to somebody, Tony, you'll agree. Everybody knows to preach and advise when everything is rosy and pink.
Mm.
And I always looking to learn from people like yourself who speaks the truth and say, this is my story, this is my life. I make a mistakes because people love to talk
Lots
about
of
themselves.
mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So,
And
you
it's
know,
from it's from those mistakes and hard times that I think the best learnings and the best education comes. I think that with in the absence of hard times and difficult things to walk through, there's an
yes.
absence of growth, isn't there, Mario?
Yes, if you wanna if you wanted to grow, you will grow, right? And that's
Mm.
this is I say, like, people become happy with what they achieve, you know, small pleasures, right? And the business is not they to make me happy. I can get satisfaction by
Yeah.
providing my clients good service, providing great results and everything else. But that's my satisfaction. But after
Yes.
all, if you don't learn, the clients will learn, competitors will not learn. And I'm always afraid when I see people around me who are, they're getting small victories, and then they stop with everything. I
Mm.
think it's very important, to challenge yourself. Nothing is infinity. Infinity, apologies. Like, let's go say history.
Yes.
People talk about history like history is not infinitive as well, because we are discovering many things from history today. But the life lessons, they come to us for the reason. And I believe, Tony, today
Mm.
you'll not be the Tony, Radio Toni TV, you know what I mean? If you didn't learn your
Yeah.
lessons, but most of people don't accept those lessons. Instead of
Yeah.
this, they let somebody else to carry their burden. And then they talk
Mm.
about resilience, they talk about this.
Yes.
And, you know, resilience is an act of courage to face the obstacles. There's not a
Mm.
definition. And nobody can teach
Yeah.
resilience. You can, Tony, because you've been there. And this is why reason today I love to talk with you, because and it's just like people should know this, I mean, I really enjoy talking to you today, because after hearing your story, and that's what it is, makes me happy that you don't hide your faults. But when I'm
Yeah.
hearing a lot of people, public speakers, and
Yeah.
all these gurus, like, they're swearing and
Yes.
they're sharing this knowledge,
Yes.
man, did you been in
Yes.
Tony Lontis shows? No. So how do you know? How do you know? How you can say somebody, when I started my business, and I was afraid, I mean, I was
Yeah.
afraid. Then I
Yes.
started become comfortable.
Yeah.
But what I think I learned is to ask. If I don't
Yes.
understand, ask my client, what do you
Mm.
want? And
Yes.
that lesson cost me so much. I never asked. I kept my pride. I know everything. And then, of course,
Yeah.
you slip and fall.
Yes.
Then you learn.
Yes.
I
Because you
need to
just
ask.
don't, you can't know everything.
No.
You can, even at expert level or guru level, there is still so much to learn about life and business. And I just am absolutely passionate about continuing that journey. I think that is part of resilience, that acceptance that you're never
Yes.
going to be, it's never going to be perfect. You are always going to be learning something, and if you accept that that's life,
Yes.
and just keep going,
Yes.
that idea that things will just be smooth sailing is false. Things aren't going to be smooth sailing. Even gurus, even the best, most expertise, there's always going to be learnings. And I'm sure, Mario, there's still things that you learn all the time as well around your work with investigations and
Yes.
interrogations. I'm sure it's ongoing for you as well.
Absolutely. World evolving. And one thing what I learned from my son, and sometimes I could understand how it's possible that I have a best teacher next to me and I learn nothing, which is my son. So,
Yes.
Matteo eventually, he's gone through that epilepsy phase, has a
Mm.
big surgery 2 years ago, removed a
Yes.
part of the brain, and somehow he becomes more smarter because he's now studying medicine. I mean, like I just can't
That's
understand, but
awesome.
yeah, but like just like for me it was like, am I seeing this properly? But one thing he told me, my son doesn't speak a lot about emotional side, but he
Yeah.
said, I remember days when you cried and you hide and kicking the
Mm.
walls and everything else. And when I
Mm.
ask you what is it, Daddy, you say, no, everything is okay. I just slip and fall. Right. And but And then now, as he growing up, I was telling him, but one thing what I realized that I can't think the way 30 years ago. It is 2020. We are born with some advantages or disadvantages. But
Yes,
one thing
it's
is
what you do with those.
exactly, Tony. And as I say, this is what I like about you. Somebody has a courage to step out and have their own TV and radio broadcasting. It is a hero for me because
It's scary.
it is
I have
scary.
to be I have to be honest, Mario. There's times when I hold my heart is on the edge of like trying to make everything run smoothly and deliver the
Yes.
best that I can for my clients and the people that I talk to. And I have to say, there's just times when I get to the end of the day and I just sit down in a corner and go, oh my God, what do I think that I'm doing? Like, what the hell do I think I'm doing? But then you just get up and you keep doing it the next day, and I've discovered that by talking to people like you and sharing your stories with the world, that is actually a great thing. And if I don't do anything else today, I've talked to Mario
Oh my
live on air
God.
and introduced him to the audience. Like that's a great thing, that's a wonderful thing, because there's people out there that need to be connected with Mario. That they're not going to
Thank you,
less
Tony.
they're not going to learn from me. They need to hear from Mario, you know?
I think that
And
there's a reason why you are here as well. So to learn from you, you know what I
I'm
mean?
the
That's
I'm the conduit. I'm the conduit. I'm the connector. I'm the thing
okay,
like
okay.
in between. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Mario, I'm conscious of the time, and I don't want
yes,
to get through to the end of the show without talking about the thing my guilty pleasure, I have
yes,
to confess, is
yes.
crime and detective works and crime shows and mystery. And
Yes.
so I'm like, oh my God, I get to talk to Mario
Mm,
about investigations. Now I understand that there are criminal investigations, there's
that's correct.
organizational investigations. They're all very different.
Yes.
But I'm guessing across the breadth of all your experience, there's some really scary stories or some funny outcomes or
Yes.
something that you've done in your private investigative role
Yes.
that you can share with the audience.
Look, basically, my career started investigations 90, I will say 4 or 5. I
Mm,
was being asked by the war was coming to the end. I mean, the
mm,
combat stuff. And my
yeah,
boss said, he tried to actually remove me, not to become, actually to eliminate me as a threat. And he
yeah.
asked me, so like, listen, there's a there's a course on police academy, 6 months for the forensic crime investigations. I said, like,
Mm.
I don't want to do this. It's a capital city. I was in love another one more time again.
Yes,
So I
yes,
was always
yeah,
in
yeah,
love. And
yeah, yeah.
he said, look, this is gonna be great for you. This is gonna be, awesome. And I said, like, okay, I will go there. And what did happen that actually it opened new door for me. So I've been
Yeah.
accepted on police academy, and there was a 6 months course, particularly for the forensic investigations,
Yes.
um, and I started liking this. Now, what I
Mm.
didn't like, Tony, it was that
Yeah.
it comes to the end. So every new course, my boss will send me intelligence academy, or I mean, counterterrorism investigations, investigate intelligence for the terrorist cells,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that curriculum was my resume was building bigger, bigger, bigger. That eventually, when I was in Australia, and when I realized that my strength it is investigations, interrogations, that's I
Yeah.
started my business. Now,
Mm.
it was, as I said, like adjustment period from my thinking and adapting myself to corporate world was a very, very difficult because I need to learn
Mm.
quite a lot of things. Thank God I was a slow learner. So like, I've been slapped in the face. So I'll rush, to learn more and, I will not snail pace, and I was learning quickly. So when I was in the military, the part of my investigations was being the violent deaths,
Yeah.
and the deaths being caused by unknown person. They will call here the cold cases, which basically
Yes.
what happened in the world of
Wow.
espionage, world of military. There's a lot of deaths being
Yeah.
being happening, and those deaths was being done by somebody who already knows modus operandi of investigation, which means somebody internal. So one of the cases I was working in was one of the hierarchy army officials who was selling the secrets to our enemies in neutral country. And he was found dead in hotel. So you don't come in a foreign country in hotel and say like, hi, my name is mario+bekes+, I got to investigate. That was for me very, 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 very challenging. But again, I established some leads and resulted 3 years later with arrest of the people in, again, different country. Now, here in Australia, the core of my business is a workers' compensation. It's a competitive intelligence, which people basically spying on each other. And I always come back to one thing, Toni. Doesn't matter how much money you pour into IT and digital protection. Human is the strongest yet weakest link. People love to talk. So, so some of the work I currently doing, I'm training people how to be smarter in conversation in the neutral places where the social engineering takes place. And let's go say, for example, for the audience, Hari Mata Hari, First World War, like exotic dancer, artist, whatever it is. And she will create the scenarios, she will create the environment, make the French generals very comfortable, and they will talk. Even happened today and on a big scale, and even happened to me in my past life, I call past life, when I've been approached in a pub, in the middle of the Switzerland with a beautiful blonde lady. I said to myself, to me, right? And some people will fall for this, but so the work I'm doing, it's training corporations.
People not to fall for those things.
For this, particularly now online. And with full right, I'm going to say the wall becomes the flat. Why? Because from point A to point B, we come with the internet, right? We don't need to travel around the globe, and it also becomes the flat. And the seduction online existing, either it's attempting on a way that it's a monetary, seduction, sexual, business one. And the tragedy is we live in a beautiful country surrounded by the 7 seas and 7 mountains, whatever it is. Right?
Lots and lots of water.
Lots of water, but what is happening, a lot of companies being targeted by the perpetrators overseas. And it's very difficult to bring them to the justice or prosecution where it is. So what I try to insert into the clients currently right now, it's how to be more vigilant online.
And aware.
And the investigations we're doing currently, I can't discuss case by case, but I must say that investigative workers' compensation claims, it's really something unique, because I would say 1% of claims will be very ungenuine, very, very ungenuine. But how genuinely imaginative these people are, and watching all these TV shows on TV, Toni, it's unexplainable. I must say, it's unexplainable.
Goodness.
Yeah, so I'm very proud that my company's intelligence group provides really good results. Clients are happy, and as I say, like even we're learning. There's a new methods on horizon, in new ways. Australia, it's a very colorful when it comes to demographics, and when you hear the colorful demographics, everybody thinks differently. My son is Aussie, oi. For him, it's everything. Hitchhiker guide to the galaxy, everything is easy, sitting on a lounge and everything's gonna come to him, and that's like, everybody has a different approach. So still believe Australia, it's a great country, and for me, offering my clients investigative solutions.
Aren't we? We're just blessed to have you in Australia, Mario.
Thank you, Toni.
My wonderful friend, we are just about out of time, and I want to make sure that the audience has the opportunity to connect with you. And audience, I will get Mario back on the show, and we'll actually have a longer, deeper conversation about Insight Intelligence, which is Mario's company, and we'll talk about the ins and outs of how he works and how he helps his clients, and a bit more about his books. But for today's show, insightintelligence.com.au is Mario's company, and he has decades of investigative experience. And if there's a problem that you're facing around a raft of situations that we've talked about today in terms of business or personal, then please reach out to Mario. He is an amazing person, and it's my privilege to know him as well. And just that website again is insightintelligence.com.au. Mario Becks, thank you so much for coming on the Everyday Business Show today. We will have you back again in the future and get that camera.
My camera. No, that's going to work it up. I'm telling you, someone's going to be
sabotage. I'm just thinking you're an intelligence, and someone's hacked your camera so that you couldn't appear live.
I think this is me, Toni. But thank you very much. I think I done something, and I don't know what I did, but I did something, Toni, and I will make sure
it
this
has
is working
been
for next week. Yes.
Wonderful talking to you today, Mario. I'm so grateful for your time. I know how busy you are. And once more, people, if you've got any questions, just reach out to Mario, insightintelligence.com.au, and we will be back with Mario again sometime in the future when I can find a spot in his busy calendar. But as for today, that's your lot for the Everyday Business Show this week. We will be back next week with another guest. Please thank my wonderful co-host today, Mario Becks. Thank you, Mario. And bye for now, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mario.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching and listening to Toni TV. For more inspirational stories, join us next week. Bye for now.
I just love this. I just love this, Toni. No, seriously.